Hello, everybody. It's race time. Hey, everybody. It's race time. It is me, Banana Fish Bones, in the street. They call me Ethan. And Haiti will be joining me in a minute. He's just making sure the audio's okay.
I hope it is because it sounds fine to me, I think, but please let me know if it's not. All right. So we're going to get rolling here as soon as these guys are ready to go. I saw that Indu. I saw that anime.
Sneaky.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just point out to start with that they are picking the military veteran for their origin just because it has the highest strength and skill, and those are the only stats you level in a run where you're going for a good time going for a PB. They may or may not level Vit depending on how safe they feel.
All right, you boys ready? Just let me know in the Discord chat. Ready? All right. Ready? All right, boys. Here we go. We're going to count them in. All right. 5, 4,
4,
3,
3,
2,
2,
1.
1.
Go.
Just pretend I fired a gun into the air.
Yeah. And we're off, ladies and gentlemen.
And do you know if both of these guys are using PS5s or what's their setup?
Indu is using a PS4 Slim with SSD, I believe, and CB's got a PS5.
Yep. So CB is going
So
to have he's going to have slightly better load times and a little bit of an in-game time advantage, I think.
yeah, it's gonna be like about close to 2 minutes faster RTA. So Indu's gonna have one of his classic come from behind victories where he finishes like 15 minutes later but has faster IGT.
That's just how life is on this
Yeah.
earth here. You'll notice when they were getting up, they swapped some of their gestures around. That's to set up some skips later in the run. For now, they're just going to go run past everything, because that's what you do in a speed run. You don't fight normal enemies unless you absolutely have to, which is like one time in the entire game. And they're just going to pick up the best weapon, because the game is nice enough to just give you the best weapon in the video game. The entire video game right at the start, and that would be the saw cleaver. They might pick up the threaded cane for a specific skip later on. There's a setup to do it with the saw cleaver. You have to hit an enemy through a door. We'll explain it when we get there. But I'm not sure how consistent runners are with that yet. I don't know if it's considered safe for a race.
It's fairly consistent.
Gotcha.
You just and it's not too bad. Like failing it, you just gotta quit out kind of far away from the door and do another run up to it, and it resets it pretty much.
Okay, so just a minor difference here is that CB picked up the cane to set up for the skip, and Indu is just going to go for the saw cleaver setup. It takes a little more time to grab the cane. It's just a very simple exploit you can do to pick up two weapons if you run over the messengers fast enough and you just mash the X button like your life depends on it. You can open up the menu twice and get two weapons. They're picking up Molotovs here. They're going to use Molotovs for the first boss and also to kill some crystal lizards later on for upgrade materials. DB's picking up the vials here. And we're on our first skip of the run. Sewer skip. If you couldn't guess, you skip the sewer by doing this. So you jump up there, and that will allow you to land on that fence, and then you can run along the fence and skip the sewer that way. It saves about 40 seconds, 40-ish seconds. You can do it with either a plunge or a quit out. See, Indu just landed the plunge there.
Just nailed the plunge.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's not that much. Yeah, CB, if you go for a quit out, you need to land on just the right spot on the gate fence thing there. Otherwise, you'll land. It'll put you back in the last stable position you were standing when you load back in. So you'll just land on the little platform and have to jump again. So Indu's fighting the first boss here, Father Gascoigne, Gascoigne, whatever
It's
you want to call him.
100% how you say it.
Absolutely. And oh, Indu missed a backstab there. That's unfortunate.
He's got a ton of vials. I think he should be alright.
Yeah, expect runners to pick up plenty of safety vials. Even though this is just the first boss, he's actually one of the hardest bosses in the entire run to do correctly, if not the hardest, depending on, who you ask. He basically just punishes you for trying to kill him fast. The basic strategy is stun lock him with R1, L1. You can fill in with those. Otherwise, you can parry follow-up attacks. If you let him whiff the first one, you can parry the follow-up real easily. After a parry, you can throw a Molotov. You'll follow up a backstab with a Molotov. And BB's about to enter Phase 2. Phase 2 is the scariest part of the fight, and ideally you would skip it because it's just really, really annoying. But you can land a backstab while he's transforming, and that'll get him to... Oh, that's unfortunate. CB will pull through, though. Yeah, ideally you'll land a backstab as he's transforming.
Alright.
Indu had a pretty decent fight there, not much to complain about.
Both of them passed Gascoigne. That's kind of a scary point. So we are now have race, boys.
Yep. Gascoigne can be a real sticking point. It's pretty much going to be smooth sailing from here until probably Shadows if they choose to fight them properly.
Should be very interesting.
I
think Indu's probably going to fight them. I'm not sure what CB's going to do.
Yeah, I believe if you get an absolutely perfect fight, then fighting them normally is faster. But it's safer to do the cheese, of course, assuming you can pull it off consistently.
With the new jump, like the new tree jump on the side, instead of jumping up like the big route, it's a little bit faster to do the cheese now.
I see. I'm washed up. My information's outdated. Well, either way, we're past the first area, and they're heading to Old Yharnam next. They're going to kill BSB. First of all, because they have to. It's all bosses. And secondly, because there are some good items you can pick up on the way that are essential for the rest of the run. Like the bolt paper Indu just picked up. Those dogs, by the way, are absolutely evil. CB got pretty lucky there. Sometimes they'll block you and they'll like hit you when you're coming out of the door animation, and it's just really, really bad sometimes. Yeah, they both just picked up a weapon buff from Alfred. Alfred wants to be your friend, but you just use him in this run. You only want him for his bolt paper. Fire paper. There are two kinds of buffs in this game. You have the papers, which just add a flat amount of elemental damage to your weapon, and then there's the beast blood pellets, which are absolutely broken. I'll explain those in a minute. This is Old Yharnam, and they're going to skip most of this area by doing a jump that's not too difficult. The skip is fairly easy, all things considered, but of course things can still go wrong. Indu pulled up the quit out menu there just in case he missed the jump. And I didn't see, I believe he grabbed the lamp as well. So that way, even if he died, he could have just, he respawns right there. But yeah, normally you have to run across a bunch of rooftops and there's a gun firing at you, and that's no fun. So you just jump off a roof and you're done with it. So those beast blood pellets that Indu just picked up, those are the bread and butter of this run. They are absolutely broken. They allow you to completely demolish bosses. I'll explain exactly how they work once this fight starts. Indu quit out there because that wolf he just ran past can sometimes be insanely aggressive. Oh. Okay. CB scared me a little bit. And I didn't see if Indu picked them up, but CB picked up some pungent blood cocktails. Those, you throw them somewhere, and then enemies will be attracted to it. They'll attack the puddle of blood instead of you. And that's part of a strategy for BSB. A lot of the bosses in this run are relatively scripted, so there's more or less a set strategy for them. And if you execute it correctly, the fight should be more or less the same every time. BSB is one of those bosses, assuming that you don't do YOLO BSB. Now, he has fire damage on his weapon, which BSB is weak to, and you see that bar up on the top of the screen. Basically, the fuller that is, it increases your physical damage dealt, but also reduces your physical defense. So it's a very high risk, very high reward item, and it inflates your damage to insane levels. But as you can see, basic strategy for BSB, throw pungent blood cocktails at the corner, and hit him until he dies. This is something you'll see a few times throughout the run too. It's a little way to get extra damage, is instead of following up that backstab with a visceral attack, they do another charged R2. That's because when an enemy is in a staggered state like that, they will take double damage from the next attack that hits them. And with charged R2, that is an absurd amount of damage. And it charges the beast meter very quickly. So, run's going pretty smoothly so far for both of them. Taking a hidden drop here. This is some, Twilight Zone stuff. You find the Hunter's Dream, but it's not the Hunter's Dream. There's lore. It's pretty fascinating, but this isn't about lore. This is about speed. Here you can pick up a third umbilical cord, which is necessary to fight the true final boss of the game. You need to pick up 3 of them, and this is one of the quickest 3 to get in the game. And they also pick up the doll set here, which you can sell to a vendor in the Hunter's Dream for 35,000 blood echoes, I think, which is good for a few levels in the early game. It's very much worth it. I wonder if CB's going to get the animation cancel on the chest, because Indu didn't get it. So now he has no chance of winning. These drops...
Yeah, it saves approximately 15 minutes. I'm not sure how he can recover.
Something to mention as well, I guess, is that the fall damage in this game is very generous. As you can see, you can fall from very high and not take that much damage. It's not quite Demon Souls level, but you can take some pretty crazy falls in this game and not die. Some of them look really scary, but trust me, they know what they're doing. It's perfectly safe to jump off of buildings. Don't do it in real life, though. So, something I'll point out here while we have nothing else to talk about is you'll notice that they popped the umbilical cord and that gave them insight. Insight, it's the number by the little eye icon in the top right. That's a secondary currency of sorts. They're going to use it mainly to buy upgrade materials for their weapon. And now it's time to fight Vicar Amelia, who is another one of those scripted bosses I was talking about. The big beast bosses in this game have a limb damage system, so if you target a specific limb, it'll break. And if you have the right strategy and the right damage, you can chain those kinds of limb breaks together and essentially stun lock the boss to death. So as you can see, he breaks, one arm, then the other one, gets another couple hits in, goes for the visceral attack. Then he is going to break the leg, get a few more hits in, and then after that she's going to be very close to dead. And as you can see, the fight is going pretty much the same for both of them. CB is using a different strategy that's slightly faster. He doesn't go for the visceral attack. It's a little bit faster, but some runners feel like it's not quite as safe. So some people still prefer to do the older strategy in a race setting.
It's definitely more difficult to recover from messing up the faster strat, because like especially at the end, there's one part where if you don't get a counter hit, it can get pretty rough at the end. But most of the time with the visceral strat, Amelia just like does the hyper armor kind of magic attack, like defense attack, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
So you can just get a bunch of hits in at the end and kind of recover from a mistake.
Yeah, it's cool to see that we saw both strategies there. Something I completely forgot to point out, because these guys are going too fast, I can't keep up with them, is when they dropped down here earlier, they interacted with the ladder and then canceled the interaction. So if you interact with the ladder and you toggle a weapon or fire your gun or transform your weapon or do anything else to cancel out of the animation, the game will set your position to be on the ladder, but you're still free to move around and do whatever your little heart desires. And then whenever you quit and load the game, it puts you back in your last known position, which is at the bottom of the ladder. So you can use that to teleport around. It's the ladder warp. It's only used one time in all bosses, or at least this version of the category. In all trophies, it's used a lot more, and it's used twice in the clipping version of the run. So they picked up a blood gem on the way through the Forbidden Woods, as well as some upgrade materials. Blood gems are extremely important. They contribute more damage to your weapon than pretty much anything else. By the end of the run, they will have two 18% gems and a 15% gem. So if you add that up, that's a lot of extra damage.
51.
They stack multiplicatively, so it's closer to like 60-something. Get it right.
60-something.
Yeah. Yep, so they're going to buy a few Molotovs here, sell the doll armor, and they're going to level up, just, do their chores. Buy a bunch of Bloodstone shards. You need 16 of them to get 2 plus 3, and they already picked up 3 twin Bloodstone shards on the way to here, so they have a plus 4 and a 10% damage up gem at full health, and they're about to level up 25 strength and 19 skill. So that's pretty good damage for this point in the run. They won't be visiting the Hunter's Dream again for a little while. Ideally, you would want to make as few trips to the dream as possible. I think you level up a total of like 3 times in the run, and you upgrade your weapon throughout like 4 or 5 different trips to upgrade it and put different gems in it and whatnot. And also, the reason they absolutely slaughtered the doll is because it's faster. I don't make the rules. They gotta do it. Oh, poor Indu, he warped to Central Yharnam instead of Cathedral Ward. We're going on a little bit of a detour here, because there is a if you let this body snatcher kill you, he will take you to Hypogean Jail, which is just a slightly different version of a later game area that has a boss in it. It has Dark Beast Parl in it. And in the long ago, in the before times, you used to kill Dark Beast Parl later on when you get to Yahar'gul after Rom. But that was annoying for a couple of reasons. The biggest one being that you had to do Yahar'gul skip twice, which it's not necessarily a difficult skip to execute, but it is annoying and can potentially cause problems. But I believe it was Hex who had the bright idea of just do Parl earlier, bro. So then we did.
Yes, sir.
It has a few other benefits, like you can they picked up some upgrade materials. So that's nice. It saves a pickup later, and they also get the ability to purchase bolt paper after killing Parl. Parl is another.
Sorry, go ahead.
Parl is another one of those stun lock bosses. Blink and you'll miss it. They just cycle through breaking all the limbs and then finish him off with a charged R2 as he tries to dash away, and they get counter damage off of that. Same as a lot of the other bosses. If you execute it correctly, the fight is the same every time. What were you
I was
gonna
just gonna
say?
say that Hex is like a mastermind of routing and strategies in Bloodborne, so a lot of strategies and route changes were a result of Hex. So pretty
Yep.
cool.
Yeah, didn't he find, was it Cookie or Hex that found the latest version of the Shadows Freeze?
It was Cookie that found that.
Oh, okay.
Hex found that Parl strat that you're looking at right there, and also
Yep.
the actual early Parl route, like you said, and a lot of skips as well, like lecture hall skip.
Sewer
He,
Skip, I believe.
yeah, he found sewer skip. Or no, Cookie found sewer skip. The current patch version.
Oh, okay. If it's a skip where they run at a fence and jump over it, then there's a good chance Hex found it.
Yeah. Cave skip. Hex found cave skip as well.
So in the Hunter's Dream, they just they bought some bolt paper. I said earlier, it adds a flat amount of damage, so it's not as valuable as Beast Blood Pellets because just as your damage gets higher, it becomes more valuable to have like 80% extra damage than to have like, I think it's 90 or something flat bolt damage. But in the early game, when your AR is relatively low, it contributes quite a lot. It lets you one-shot the tiny spiders in the ROM fight. Indu's about to do the easiest skip in any video game ever made. Anyone can do the skip with zero practice. I don't know how much time it saves. Isn't it like 15 or 16 seconds?
This skip, the Forbidden Woods one,
Yeah.
it saves a lot more than that. I think it's like closer to 30 or like 25.
Oh. See, I didn't write the spreadsheet, so I didn't know. Haiti made the coveted spreadsheet where all of the time saved from skips is documented. He knows everything. Yeah, not much to say here. You know, they're just running through the Forbidden Woods, picking up a whole bunch of upgrade materials on the way. So it looks like CB is going to do the Shadows Freeze, and Indu is probably going to actually fight the boss, which is going to be interesting and get to see both ways of getting it done. So CB just does a little bit of glitchy jumping to get up there, skirts around that tree, makes a bit of a precise jump to get out of bounds, and then you can land in the Shadows Arena without triggering their AI. So the AI, when it comes to bosses in Souls games, is kind of quirky. Most bosses don't. Their AI doesn't activate unless you step through the fog gate. Their AI is activated upon you pressing the button to walk through the fog gate. So if you find a way to get into the boss room without touching the fog gate, they'll just be standing still like this, and it's a free win. So he just had to land in there once to activate the boss and put the fog wall up, and then he just had to jump down there again, and he can bully them. And these guys are another one of the hardest bosses in the run. Indu's going to have, I'm assuming, going to be a very intense fight. This fight takes a lot of practice to do well. Shadows and Gascoigne are probably the two most difficult. So the Shadows fight, if you're fighting them normally, it's all about crowd control. You want them to clump up, so that way whenever you can build more beast meter. If you hit several of them at once, you can stack the damage up. Indu is making it look easy, but
He's one of the best Shadows fighters just in general. He's really good.
Oh yeah, it is an extremely difficult fight to do quickly and consistently. That was a pretty sleek Lunarian key skip. Normally you have to go through Bergenworth and then Indu's getting a nice hug from the Garden of Eyes. You have to go through the you have to go through Bergenworth. You have to pick up the key. Then you have to like run past an NPC hunter and then open a door, and then you have to jump in. Or you can just jump over that guy and land there right away. So CB is not doing YOLO ROM. Pretty smart. You know, he's not Roman, so I don't know if he has it in him. A little bit sad when you miss the first try at the Lunarium key skip. It doesn't lose that much time, but it just feels so good to land it. So, strategy for ROM is relatively simple. You clear out all the spiders, so that way you're safe, and you can build Beast Meter. Hit ROM a bunch of times, and then whenever she teleports, you can do a charged R2 to knock her out of it and do even more damage. And then you can look at the moonlight. I'll point it out when Indu does it. But you can use the moonlight glinting off the ground to tell where she'll teleport. Then you walk over there and finish her off. And if all goes well, pretty simple fight. Smaller thing CB did there was he skipped... I don't know what you would call it. I forget the technical term. But he skipped needing to walk over to Queen Yharnam to trigger the Blood Moon.
I guess instant warp? I don't know what else you'd call it. Yeah.
It's just, it's quite a bit faster than having to walk. You can one-cycle ROM, but a lot of the time, one-cycling ROM actually ends up being slower, because depending on in what direction she steps back and how much she steps back, it can make it impossible to get that instant warp. So you end up losing time over just getting a 2-cycle with the warp.
That was a little concerning with the ROM doing the flop attack on Indu, but got her down.
Yep. ROM is one of the less scripted fights. So CB there just picked up the Upper Cathedral Ward key real quick. You just need that to get into an area that has 2 bosses, and you know what? You got to kill them. This is Yahar'gul skip, not a hard skip necessarily. I didn't like seeing that. That made me very upset watching that. Not necessarily a difficult skip to execute, but if you do mess it up, it can become a serious problem. You can land out of bounds and die and lose your blood echoes, for example, which it's not a run killer, but it's really, really annoying. Oh, that's what just happened to CB. I don't know, maybe his blood echoes are still recoverable. It's possible to, forget what the minimum is. I think the minimum that you really need for the strategies in this run to work is 25 strength, 25 skill. And anything on top of that is just extra damage to make it easier.
Yeah, you can do 25. The strats are going to be a lot slower though. Like I think if you can get 41, you can do all of the same strats just with like a couple of minor differences, like a couple of extra hits here and there.
Yeah. So it's not gonna, ruin his life if he can't get the blood echoes, but it certainly wouldn't make it any easier. Yeah, but just because this game is so amazingly programmed, that fence doesn't have collision if you charge an R2 through it. Sometimes if you walk back and forth between the fence, like into the fence enough, you'll just walk straight through it. It's really incredible programming. At least both runners are suffering together here. If you miss it the first time, there is a consistent setup you can do where you transform your weapon, you backstep, do a transform attack, which will put you a little bit forward, and that will put you in just the right position to charge an R2 through the fence. And then you can just hop down to the bottom here. And like old Yharnam skip, that just lets you skip most of the level. All you gotta do is jump off a roof. It's easy. Except when it isn't. So, Indu's about to pick up his first 18% damage blood gem, which is going to be pretty substantial. The gems matter more than the weapon upgrades in a lot of cases. Like, each upgrade increases your weapon's base damage by 10%, and then the 3 gems we have together at the end of the run is 60-something percent, so that's like 6 upgrade levels. It contributes a lot. So it is well worth going out of your way to pick up good blood gems.
Yeah, like you can get through the game easily with a +9. Like +10 doesn't even help that much, honestly. It saves like maybe 5 hits total in the last half of the game.
This is one reborn. He can be a little bit concerning sometimes. Like there. Yep. That's how it goes. Sometimes he's completely docile and you can just walk up to him and hit him and not have to really worry about much. Other times he'll do like a kick into body rain and kill you. It's nothing you can't play around, but a lot of the time you just don't expect this boss to actually put up a fight, since it's one of the easier bosses in the game overall. Yeah, this boss has a bit of a gimmick in that there are a few Bell Maidens around that they buff the boss and throw fireballs at you. And they're really annoying, but you don't kill them because it would be very slow to do that. So you just wail on one reborn and kind of tank whatever comes to you. But this is basically how the fight goes. You knock him over, and then you can hit his head for more damage. And as you can see on this boss, your beast meter fills up really quickly because you're technically hitting him twice with every R1. Just so you can get an idea of how bonkers beast blood pellets are, when you have enough beast meter, it increases your physical damage done by 70%. It is absolutely massive. CB had a pretty textbook one reborn fight. I'm not sure why Indu's going this way. Is this a faster way to get back to one reborn if you die? Or
I think he's grabbing vials.
Oh.
It looks like he has a lot of vials, so I don't know. But he just he grabbed the shortcut basically, so if he dies again, he'll be much faster to get back.
Something worth mentioning as well is that beast blood pellets they're kind of limited. You can't... Oh, okay. That's cool. I can't say I've ever seen that happen before. He got 360 no-scoped the instant he stepped foot through the fog gate. But yeah, beast blood pellets are kind of limited. You can pick up more, and there are more than enough to finish a run, even if you die quite a few times. But the thing about the strats you do for the bosses in this run is that you need beast blood pellets to make it work. And if you end up not having any, then that's a real problem. But that's not going to happen to you unless you die a ton. And
I guess he didn't grab that shortcut because I have no idea where it is because it's not even close to where he was going. But yeah, the elevator's kind of back towards Parl, like near that kind of dungeon entrance. But yeah, he didn't get that.
Yeah, it would only take like, I don't know exactly how long it would take, maybe like 15 or 20 seconds. No, more than that, but it wouldn't take all that much time to grab it for safety, but it's just one of those things where you don't really expect to die to one reborn.
Yeah.
Even though
not that grabbing that shortcut would help anyway, honestly, because like Yahargul skip puts you right there, so.
Yeah, but you can jump off midway to use the teleporter, and that might be faster. I don't know. Someone should time it, and then no one will use it. CB just warped back to the dream, upgraded his weapon to +8, and put in his 18% gem, and got 32 strength and 25 skill. So he's going to start pumping now. doing all kinds of damage. The next few bosses are really tanky, actually. You'd be surprised. This game has some of the tankiest bosses in the entire series, and they still get melted with the setup we get in this run. You haven't even seen the potential of the Beast Blood Pellet until you see Lawrence get absolutely demolished and stun-locked to death. Fight seems to be going alright for Indu this time. Did Indu lose his echoes?
Certainly, because he died twice, right?
Yeah, I didn't see if he picked them up, but yeah, they're probably gone if he just got one shot instantly. So he's going to miss a few levels, but it's not the end of the world. CB's picking up an extra Beast Blood Pellet there just for safety.
By the end of the run, the echoes you get from Rom and Shadows is only like, I don't even know, it's not that much. It's like 3 levels at most, or like 2 levels.
Yeah, CB also grabbed a blue elixir there, which makes you kind of invisible. It takes longer for enemies to aggro you, and they don't pursue you quite as hard. That's useful for a couple of spots throughout the run. It just makes it so that you're less likely to die when you're running through. You used it in Hemwick, a spot in the DLC, and a spot in Mensis, though different runners use them in different places. CB is coming up on Mikolash here, who's the best boss in the game, easily. Great fashion sense, and he's actually he's a marathon runner. He can go 3 different ways at the start of the fight. It looks like, yeah, this is like the normal way, I guess. He can either go the way he just did, where you chase him up and then right. He can go straight to the right. That's a Swedish Mikolash. Or he can go up the stairs and then run back out and then to the left, and that's a Burger Mikolash. Yeah, CB just stepped into the room to aggro Mikolash because his AI isn't the best. And we are going to back him into a corner and take his lunch money. First phase is very easy. You just hit him a few times, and then you can sidestep the auger. And that's that. He fakes his death, but they know better. They've played this game before, I don't know if you could tell. Little detour to grab some bloodstone chunks. Once we're done with Mensis, they're going to have enough chunks to get to +9. And then from there, it's just a matter of getting 1 blood rock to max out the weapon. Here, there are 2 ways he can go. He can either go straight to the left, or he can go up. This way is slower. Normally he's supposed to run into a room, and then he's going to block himself in, and then you have to run around and drop onto him from above. But if you stand in the right spot and you roll and do a plunging attack, you can pancake him and then block him from getting into the door. And once you do enough damage to him, he'll stop trying to run away, and he'll just aggro onto you instead. And that saves quite a lot of time. It saves waiting for the door to open. You don't have to run around and drop on top of him. He has a lot less move to move around when you're shoving him into a locker. He will never use a call beyond. It just makes the fight a lot easier. And it's gratifying because of how annoying the boss can be. This right here is probably the biggest detour in the run that you'll take to grab like a non-essential item, but it's basically essential. This is where you get your final 18% gem, and 18% damage is a lot. It is well worth going, I don't know how much this is, maybe 30 or 40 seconds out of your way to grab this 18% gem. You get to go through the winter lanterns. They inflict frenzy. It's fun. Once that bar fills up, your health goes pop. 70% of your health, as you can see. But you can just run straight through them. most of the time. They have varying patrol patterns and stuff, but runners know how to deal with them. If you're really lucky and they choose you, you can even have it, you can have Frenzy proc through the loading screen if it happens at just the right time as you're using your Hunter's Mark.
If there's enough maple syrup involved, anything can happen. Especially that.
Yeah, Canadians just seem to get the most cursed copies of Bloodborne. I don't know what it is. CB is now going to... this is a bit more of a subtle strategy. You might not pick up on what he's doing if you didn't have the knowledge that I'm about to tell you. But if you manage your stamina in a specific way and you take this specific pathing, you can make these pigs charge into these shadows over here, and they'll kill each other, and you get a bunch of echoes out of that. You can get up to 44 strength if all goes well, and if it doesn't, it's not a big deal. I think it maybe makes like a 1-hit difference on some bosses, if any, if you get like 40 or 41 strength. This is Wet Nurse. She's not particularly difficult, she's just very tanky. That was unfortunate. Standing about a pixel too far to the right there. Most of her attacks are easy to strafe, and they're all locked in once she starts attacking. CB. You gotta use the triangle button. You're scaring me. Yeah, the basic strategy is you get behind her, and she staggers every 8 hits, I think? I could be wrong about that. I'm washed up. I don't quite remember. But the idea is you want to manage your stamina so that way you have full stamina on the hit that staggers her so you can make the most of it. Also, whenever she jumps away, she's open for counter damage. So you can do an L1 there and catch her as she's jumping away and do even more damage.
It's,
she also has
sorry, I was just gonna say it's every 10 hits with, or every 10 R1s, and then if you do 3 L1s, it's 4 R1s. So every 3 L1s, you save 1 hit out of your 10 count.
Gotcha. I used to know these things, I swear. Yeah, that was a pretty textbook fight. She has a nightmare phase, but it's usually a non-issue. She has an attack where she'll call in purple fog, and copies of herself will spawn. And it's really annoying if it happens, but it's pretty much 100% avoidable. It takes her so long to do it that usually you can just stagger her out of it, and absolute worst case scenario, it's pretty easy to dodge it once you practice it. So that's technically the last mandatory boss in the game. You could go trigger an ending right now, but obviously we have a lot more work to do. This is, I want to say, about the halfway point of the run, maybe a little bit over. A whole bunch of cleanup. CB now has a +9 weapon, and he has all of his gems, and you're going to see just how crazy that can get. CB is doing everybody's favorite skip in the entire game. This is Lecture Hall skip. It is... There you go. That was like, what, 3rd or 4th try? So, not too bad. It is just extremely precise. You need to jump, like, just as you hit the little, like, step on the pillar there, and that can shoot you over the ledge. And that skips going down a ladder and stuff. I believe it saves 15 seconds if you get it first try. You break even with going the normal way on 4 tries, and then if it takes any more than that, you're losing time. And then there's another skip right away. This is another one of the easiest skips in the game. All you gotta do, walk over here. You can either sit down, or you can set it up with a charged R2. But I don't know exactly what it is. It seems like there's maybe a piece of geometry or just weird collision in the middle of the elevator. So if you quit out in the right spot while you're falling, you will spawn in midair and mitigate the fall damage. See, that fall would normally just kill you. But that's the shortcut that you take at the end of the area. It's supposed to be a shortcut to the boss, but if you go through it that way, you skip pretty much the entire thing. Amigdala is supposed to be kind of like an early to mid game boss, depending on when you choose to fight him. But we have, end game stats and absurd gems and buffs, so you're gonna see that he does not have a health bar. Fight should go the same way every time, just like a lot of the other ones. If you time a charged R2 just right after he falls down, you'll stagger the head. You don't go for the visceral attack because that's slow. Instead, you take advantage of the additional damage on the head, smack him with a few R1s, some transform attacks, and then you can finish him off with a transformed R1 or an R2. CB's leveling up for the final time. He got 40-something strength. Couldn't quite see. I don't have the stream full screen. So we'll never know how much strength he really has, but it's
probably 44. I don't think he died into anything that made him lose his echoes.
So this part of the run is a little bit it's a little bit uneventful. We basically just have some busy work to do. They need to go grab an item the Cainhurst summons that lets them go to Cainhurst, and there's a boss there, and you have to kill it. And the way you get there is through this pretty long run, but at least there's a skip on the way. It's called Cave Skip, which is not really accurate because you're not skipping the cave, you're skipping to the cave. Haiti, did you name that skip? I think you did.
Probably.
No. Yeah,
because
you're not very creative.
Hex's video is called, hold on, I'll look it up. It's called, like, a small skip to the cave in Forbidden Woods or something like that.
Well, from now on, that's just what I'm going to call it. Yeah, you can run along those little weird gravestone rock thingamajigs and jump up out of bounds, run through that wall, and you'll land right in the cave. I forget how much time it saves.
It is called, officially, a small skip into the caves, or into the woods caves, bracket Bloodborne. That's what it's called.
Alright, that's what I'll call it from now on. I'm just going to stay true to the intent of the man who found it. No offense to you. You have to climb the 2 longest ladders in existence after going through a small poison swamp. Very fun to watch, I know. Yeah, now we're in Central Yharnam. This is where you started the game. Classic From Software level design. We'll be coming back here one more time because we left Cleric Beast behind earlier. You can fight him as the first boss, but I would just like you to, those of you watching, I'd like you to guess whether it's faster to fight him at the beginning or to come back with a +9 weapon and 51% gems. One of those is a little faster than the other one. If you guess correctly, I'll give you a prize.
Is it option A?
Haiti, you already know the answer.
But I guessed wrong.
You're not guessing, you're just giving me the wrong answer. Go to your corner. Those are the summons. You give them to the funny horse, and then he'll take you to the vampire castle. And, oh yeah, there's also this lady. You don't know who she is. You haven't seen her before. But she was doing really weird things with this umbilical cord. So we're just gonna put an end to that. Take that. That is the final umbilical cord we need. The second one we got was the one from Wetner, so you just get it as a freebie. And I saw the anime. Induratize is the anime. But yeah, you need to actually consume the 3 umbilical cords before you want to trigger the boss. Otherwise, you won't fight the boss. I think Sanso did that once. He didn't pop all 3. So he had a 21 out of 22 bosses run. Now we're heading back to Cathedral Ward. Remember that key we picked up earlier in Yharnam? It's for the door up here. And there's also another skip coming up. This part of the run is pretty dense with skips, actually. I have so much stuff to explain. You quit out at that door, because if you don't, you are pretty likely to just get totally screwed, because there's a huge troll and 2 guys with guns that will shoot you off, or otherwise inflict big damage on you. It's not fun. So you quit out just for safety. It resets the enemy position, it de-aggroes them. See here, what are Indu's final stats there? I didn't full screen fast enough. I'll never know. It was 25 skill, 30-something strength, I think. So the some of the upcoming bosses are going to be a bit slower for Indu, but it's really not as big a deal as it might seem to be missing out on 10 or so levels. Upper Cathedral Ward is the scariest area in the game, but you don't get to see any of the scary parts. So, you're welcome. The runners here, they're taking your health into concern. They understand most of the people watching Bloodborne speedruns still are very old. And you might have heart problems, so we're skipping the scary wolves swinging on the chandeliers. This is like the one normal enemy in the game that you like have to kill. He just blocks you. There's not much of a way around him. So this skip is pretty interesting. We're going to see 2 different ways of doing it, because CB took the cane and Indu didn't. But, is he gonna... There, we got it. What you're supposed to do normally is you go through a bunch of hallways and you climb a ladder, and then you come back around on the other side and kill that brain sucker. But that's very slow. But what you can do is, if you path to him correctly and have a long enough weapon, there are a few that work, but the main ones that runners use are the threaded cane or the transformed mode of the saw cleaver. You can hit him through the door. CB's having just a great time. There he goes. You can aggro him through the door and just kill him from the other side and get the key that way. And that key opens this door, so you skip like half the area doing that. This next boss is a joke casually, and still a joke in a speedrun, but they can actually kill you if you aren't careful. Especially if you go for a YOLO emissary. And CB popped bolt paper, so it looks like that's what he's... Nope, never mind. Bolt paper only saves a hit on emissary if you do YOLO emissary. Because if you do YOLO emissary, you just go straight for the boss one, and your beast meter won't be as full. But as you can see, very difficult boss. I know, your heart's pounding. But you don't have time, you're not going to have any time to recover, because you know what? There's another boss. And it's even harder than that one. Alright, so he's buffing up again. This boss is kind of interesting because we take advantage of the fact that she isn't aggroed to you and she can't do damage. She can't take damage until you hit her. There's a delay between hitting her and her health bar actually appearing. But in that time, you can still do, like, poise damage. So you can partially break a limb, and then right when the health bar appears, you can hit the tentacle one last time and get that stagger immediately. Then it's just a matter of smacking the head and finishing her off with a charged R2. Some of you might have cringed that he just lost all those blood echoes, but trust me, it really doesn't matter at this point. I think those would only be worth like a couple levels, and it's not going to save any hits, so... Alright, now CB is going to teleport to the DLC, but he's just going to grab the lamp and leave, because we have one more boss to kill before we start the DLC. You gotta kill Cleric Beast, and then you upgrade your weapon to +10. Do some shopping. Something I forgot to mention was that in Upper Cathedral Ward, they grabbed the Cosmic Eye Watcher badge, which lets you purchase Beast Blood pellets and blue elixirs from the Bath Messengers. So that's where they're going to get their Beast Blood pellets for the rest of the run. They're just going to buy a bunch. So the Cleric Beast, I don't want to scare you, but it's the hardest boss in the run, bar none. He is big. He is loud. He's very scary. He screams. It's a very harrowing experience. I don't think you know what's about to happen. You're not prepared. No matter how prepared you think you are not prepared. I have nightmares about this boss. I lost when I was running this game. I never finished a run because of Cleric Beast. Man, my heart's pounding. Well, you never know how this fight's gonna go. I can only hype Cleric Beast up so much before we fight him. I'm just gonna stay quiet for a moment and let the dread fill you. Let you feel the terror.
That was a close one. Extremely close.
What? I looked away for a second. Did he fight Cleric Beast?
I don't know. He might have died.
Well, I didn't see it, so I'm gonna listen to you. So that was the different setup I was talking about. Indu used the saw cleaver instead. The setup is a little bit harder, but it does save time because you don't have to grab the cane at the start of the run. So it's really preference. It's not a huge deal either way. So the reason they've been banking insight all this time is it costs 60 insight to buy that blood rock. And that's by far the fastest blood rock to get. The other two, one is in the DLC, so that's no good, because by the time you get it, it's useless, because you've already killed all the bosses that it would be useful for. And there's also one in the Nightmare of Mensis, but you have to go very far out of your way to get it. So that's pretty much your only option. So it's DLC time. I'm excited about the DLC because Indu has a trick up his sleeve. Some of you are in the know, some of you aren't, but it's very exciting, I assure you.
I wonder if CB is gonna do a research hall skip as well.
Don't spoil it!
Well, you gotta hype it up.
I'm gonna beat you up.
Alright.
Flying to Canada now.
Yeah, Canada's pretty small. You should be able to find me pretty quick.
I'll just go knock on every door in Canada until you answer.
All like 50 million doors in Canada.
I got time. Well, yeah, there's not much to say. For right now, CB's just running through the levels. I guess now would be a good time to talk about pathing and stamina management. You gain and lose a significant amount of time based on your stamina management and your pathing. It's a lot more significant than a lot of people probably think it would be. The bosses are important, and your execution on skips and bosses are important, but if you don't know where to stop to regenerate your stamina, when to sprint and when not to sprint, and you're just not taking the right paths through the areas, then you will lose a lot of time. It can influence how enemies behave as well. Like, you'll find that if you manage your stamina differently, going through the same area with the same enemies, they will react differently based on when you stop and start sprinting. In Bloodborne, generally, the sprinting animation actually has startup frames, and during that time, it consumes stamina without actually moving you faster, but you can skip those startup frames if you just hold the circle button. So a lot of the time, you're just holding the circle button, and you're not letting go. That'll get you the most out of your stamina for most of the run. But if you're about to, say, pick up an item or open a door or something like that, something that takes time, has an animation, then you're going to want an empty stamina bar, so you waste as little stamina as possible. Because obviously, if the stamina bar is just sitting there and it's full, you're just wasting stamina at that point. Yeah, this blue elixir is very helpful. I've tried running through this area without a blue elixir before. It didn't go that well. Taking a casual trip through the River of Blood. Coming up on the first boss of the DLC here. And I think this boss is maybe the best showcase of just how busted your damage in this run gets. It's another scripted boss. I'll try to do a play-by-play here. So just after he walks in, he's going to buff. Ludwig always opens with that attack unless you're Canadian. You do L1, L1, run to the face, break it with 3 R1s, pop the fire paper, couple transform attacks, hit him with the R2, hit his tippy toe just as he's dashing away for the counter damage. And then, see, that's the perfect attack. He can do a couple different attacks there. That's the best one. And then you just hit him a bunch of times and he's dead.
With this new strat that he did there with the charged R2, he always does that one. That's why it's sick.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, there's no more RNG involved with Ludwig, which is awesome.
I didn't know that.
Same with Lawrence. There's no more RNG in Lawrence because you kill him before he goes into phase 3.
Yeah, that's really sick. If you haven't seen it before, I know a lot of people hate Lawrence, so if you haven't seen that before, I'm sure it'll be very, very gratifying. Now, there's, I don't think they're going to do it. Yeah, no, there's no way they're going to do it in a race. If you're going for, like a really good time, you grab, like, one lamp in the entire DLC. You grab that lamp, you go and kill, the Failures and Maria and Orphan. Then you just use the Hunter's Mark to go back and grab Lawrence's skull. And that's a good bit little faster than grabbing Lawrence's skull now or grabbing other lamps, but it's also very risky because if you die at any point, you get sent back very far. Like if you die to Orphan only grabbing that was really cool. That was an awesome thing that just happened. Yeah, that was a stored roll. Normally you can skip the recovery animation for fall damage just by mashing the circle button as you hit the ground. Sometimes, though, I don't know what causes it exactly, but it just won't happen on occasion, and you'll just tank it. And that can get you killed, or in this case, you just lose time. It can happen in all the games. Look at these synchronized loading screens. Absolutely insane. Alright, Indu is starting the DLC as well. Indu is, keep in mind, he's not as far behind as it might look, even though he died a couple times. He is not running on a PS5, so his loading screens are a bit slower. So he's not that far behind. It's going to be a lot closer than you might think. But yeah, that time he grabbed Lawrence's skull just fine, no problem. You just need to bring that back to Big Fire Dude, and Big Fire Dude will become alive, and then you kill Big Fire Dude. Very simple. You quit out here, or you perish. There is no other option. Or you could use the blue elixir, but there's no... It's faster to just do this, at least for in-game time. Yeah, I'm wondering if CB's going to do it. My heart's going about 200 beats per minute just thinking about the chance that he could do the thing. These enemies are the scariest enemies in the game, by the way. In the speedrun, they're not too bad, but they're terrifying. They scream, and they hit harder than the final boss. The most dangerous one is the one with the who hits you with the IV stand up here. Yep, see that? If you're in the middle of a roll, if you mistime a roll, that will nearly kill you. Or it might one-shot you, I'm not sure.
Really concerned.
Oh, I'm not paying attention. Did Indu do something?
I think he just quit out. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Oh, he's doing the...
No! Why? That's like the only thing that can happen there. Whoa, I didn't even know that guy would be... that's pretty much the only thing that can happen with that skip that can cause you to fail it is, like, you get pushed to the right by some weird collision. I don't know why it does that.
You know, if you're a pixel too far to the right, it just happens. Better luck next time. Hopefully Indu will be able to pull it off because it is relatively new. And it'd be cool to see it. Oh, a Haiti rat.
Oh, what just happened?
Why?
Why? At least he got the elevator. That's kind of the worst part about dying there. Like, when you get the elevator, it's actually not even that much slower to die here.
Oh, man.
Because, like, taking the shortcut elevator back up is pretty fast.
Yeah. You can just take a couple elevators, but...
Apparently he didn't get it. Interesting.
Did he not pull the lever?
He did, but apparently it just didn't go down fast enough. Like, during his death animation. That's kind of unfortunate.
That's really strange. That's very atypical for that kind of thing in a From game. Most things like opening doors or interacting with levers or things like that, the action is like the game basically considers the action done as soon as you press the button. So like if something is in the middle of moving and you die, it doesn't matter. It'll just be in the final position once you get back to it. But this is apparently a very special elevator. Yeah, this is the crazy thing about Bloodborne. Anything can happen. You might think a race is over, but it's really not over until it's over, because the weirdest, wackiest stuff can happen.
Anything could happen, but none of it's good.
Exactly. But yeah, as you saw, Indu is missing out on like 10 or so levels, and the same basic strategy worked just fine for Ludwig. It just took a couple extra hits at the end. That's how it's going to be for the end game bosses here. It's just going to take a little more effort. There's CB getting revenge on the rat. You love to see it. Yeah, this is kind of a skip, I guess. You just fall down the stairs instead of walking, because walking's for nerds. Yeah, here's Living Failures. As funny, as memeable as this boss is, it's actually can potentially be very scary, because they hit incredibly hard. But if all goes well, it's not too bad at all. You want him to dab on you as soon as you walk in the room, because you can parry the dab and then get counter damage on an L1 and kill him very quickly. Not a big deal if it doesn't happen. As you can see, he's recovering just fine, but it does slow down the fight a little bit, and it can be scary. But yeah, this is the basic strategy. You just stand here. There's the one failure will continue to respawn, and you just spawn camp it. There is a little bit of variance in when that failure across the way will spawn. Sometimes he spawns earlier, sometimes he spawns later. Sometimes he spams magic at you. Sometimes he just does a little line dance. He was getting jiggy with it there. I'm glad he was enjoying himself. Did CB quit out early?
I don't believe so. It looked like he got the echoes.
Okay. I didn't.
I don't know. I'm like so out of it right now. I'm really tired and hungry.
I couldn't see. I didn't think I saw it, but I could be wrong. Yeah, the boss, the game... Well, let's hold that thought for a second, because Indu's about to do the thing. Okay, he quit out on time. See? There we go. That's like the hardest part of the skip, is landing on the pillar. Alright, CB. Two important things happening at once here. CB is about to fight Maria. Maria can potentially be very irritating. First phase should be very easy because you can avoid all of her attacks but one just by walking right. So you can hit her a couple of times, walk to the right. Oh, went for the visceral. You can land backstab sometimes as well, but yeah, you hit her, walk to the right until she transitions. And then sometimes if she does the right attack and you're in the right position, you can land a backstab. And then once she starts transitioning to her second phase, you can do enough damage to her that she'll transition to her third phase immediately, and then you can kill her. See, that time the failure dabbed on Indu, but he didn't land the parry. But Maria is one of those fights where it looks really easy when it goes well, but sometimes she does not play nice with you whatsoever.
Indu is making pretty great time for some of the memes he had.
Oh, absolutely.
That orb was like a heat-seeking missile. My god.
That was a really...
How is he not dead? What?
He has a guardian angel watching over him. How could this be? How can such a thing even happen? This is about as wrong as the fight can go. But Indu's handling it pretty well. Oh no! Cue the Benny Hill music. Well, while Indu's dealing with that, CB is grabbing this lamp because Orphan is coming up, and Orphan is pretty tough. Even with, like, we have good strats for him, and our damage is really high, but even then, he can still kill you.
Oh my god. The meteor's like, we're a pixel away.
Sweet buttery Jesus.
Oh
How does this happen? How does this happen? I think this is Indu's BL4 experience paying off. Because this fight is...
that was, that probably took 5 years off my life.
Yeah.
Perfect fight.
Jesus. Yeah. Failures at Blood Level 4 is just about the worst fight ever. Yeah, CB just did Hamlet Skip. Hamlet Skip takes advantage of the fact that when you are on a slope, this applies to all Souls games, by the way. There are similar tricks in Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3, where if you're on a slope, it will prioritize getting you out of that sliding animation over anything else, including killing you. So if you land in a kill box, well, it's not a kill box, the ground kills you, but if you land on the ground and quit out before the sliding animation's even over, then you can be on the ground safe and then just walk through the wall, since that's out of bounds, and you'll land straight at Orphan. What you're seeing here is... Yep.
Perfect timing, Cthulhu. What you're seeing here is, yep.
Yeah, see, that's why I knew that was going to happen. That's why I prioritized explaining the skip that happened like 5 minutes ago, instead of explaining what was happening now. I have precognition. The backstab. He's done it. All right. Well, we get to see the skip again, but you're going to see he just runs off, and it's covered up by the quit out prompt a little bit, but you can see he slides down that rock, and right as he hits the bottom, he quits out, and it'll save his position. Yep, Indu had a very good Maria fight there. Not much to complain about. Landed a spicy backstab. Can't really complain. Especially considering his damage is suffering a little bit compared to CB's. But yeah, to explain the orphan fight, the basic strategy is you use backstabs. You are able to strafe around all his attacks in phase 1, and see, like that, you land the backstab, or you don't. That also works. You can land other backstabs if you miss the first one. Oh no. Yeah, this is why you don't do like the 1 lamp DLC in a race, because things like this happen. But yeah, you do the double backstab trick I told you about earlier. You strafe around the attacks, and it takes 4 backstabs, I think, to get him to 50% health, and that will make him transition to his second phase, or not. Sometimes he doesn't do it. It's possible to get him stuck in like an AI loop, but I'll explain that if it happens. But once you get him to phase 2, assuming he doesn't do instant lightning, you basically win the fight, because you can just stun lock him from there by doing a charged R2, then an L1, and just repeating. I hope you like Hamlet skip, guys. Alright, let's see. How's CB gonna do it? He can open with 2 attacks. He can either do the slide or a jump. The slide is a little bit harder to avoid, but overall, it's not a huge deal which one he does. See here, he does that, and then he's gonna follow up with that, run behind him. Yeah, sometimes backstab hitboxes on Orphan can feel a little bit scuffed. It's like sliding a credit card. If you don't go exactly down the middle of his spine and give him a deep tissue massage, then he won't kneel down for you because you didn't please him enough. That time it worked, but it'll take 1 more backstab to transition him. Yep. And from here, see, there are 2 attacks that he might still keep doing. He can do that slam, or he can do the jump. Sometimes, depending on how far away you are. See, that's the transition. But it happens relatively often. Oh no. It's a little bit scary if you missed that first backstab, but thankfully Orphan did a pretty easy phase 2 attack. But anyway, if you kill Orphan, like Indu just did, without transitioning to phase 2, he doesn't have a death animation, so he just vibes to the sounds of the ocean, standing next to his mother's corpse, you know, like you do. From was so confident that he would be impossible to kill without hitting phase 2, he just doesn't have a death animation for phase 1. There is an alternative strategy where you can use poison throwing knives, and you can parry him, throw the knife while he's in the stagger animation, and that will freeze his AI for a bit. It's quite a bit slower than a good fight using backstabs, but it is more consistent. It's more or less scripted at that point, but it's still surprisingly tough to do. It's quite a lot of button inputs in a short time that you have to execute pretty precisely. So either way, it's not exactly easy. Alright, now we're heading to the last boss of the DLC, Lawrence. And for everybody in here who absolutely hates Lawrence, watching this fight is going to be very gratifying for you. Because it's another one of those stun lock bosses. This time it's a little spicier, actually. And not just because he's on fire. This is a stun lock plus an AI loop. You'll see. Indu doing some wrong warps, you know? Yeah, the strategy here for Lawrence is you run behind him, stagger him, you break that leg, continue hitting him with transform attacks, and then he will do that step forward attack every time, keep hitting the legs with that same combo, and then from there, you can hit the arm and stagger it just before the AoE goes off, and avoid the damage from that. Do another combo, break the other arm, do some more R1s, and he is dead without even entering Phase 3. If he does enter Phase 3, it's, in theory, it's not hard, because he only has a few attacks, and you can avoid most of them by just walking left. And there's an AI loop you can do. But, it's once you're practiced on it, it's very consistent to just kill him before he even gets there. So, yeah, textbook fight, textbook Lawrence fight from CB there. We're all very proud of him. Indu forgot to grab the skull, so he's going back for it. That's probably muscle memory from, I don't know, maybe he just thought he grabbed it earlier. There's no need to understand, you just need to accept that he didn't grab it, and all will be well with the world. This part of the run it's a little resident sleeper because there's really not much happening. We're about to do 2 optional like mid-game bosses, and we didn't do them earlier because there's just no good time to do them. The best time you can find to do them is just squished in at the end of the run before you do the final duo. So this part is a lot of running, not much to explain. Oh, dog wanted some pets, but CB doesn't have time for it. There actually is a slight variation of the route that some people do, where you go to Hemwick early, and that gets you, there are 3 bold hunter marks on the way to Hemwick, and you can pick them up. So what some people do, or did, I don't know if anyone still does it, but you can, after Amelia, you can go grab the bold hunter marks and then go through the door and quit out after you light the lantern. And that just lets you save some blood echoes and get some few extra levels in health, or whatever else you want. But if you're maximizing speed, it's a full glass cannon run. You just level strength and skill, and that's it. Runners used to get, again, in the before times, they would get like 30 vit or something. Absolutely insane to think about.
29 vit days, boys. Bring it back.
You know what happened? They got good. They realized they can just not get hit, LOL. See, when Bloodborne runners look at Twitch chat, and they see somebody in chat, somebody who created their Twitch account the day before they started watching the stream, and they say, just don't get hit forehead, Bloodborne runners take that to heart, and they do it. They just don't get hit forehead. That's the way they roll. They're that good. Yeah, you saw a little bit of phase 3 there, I guess. Lawrence didn't really do any attacks, but yeah, if you have to fight phase 3, there's an AI loop, but it's not necessary with current strats. What are you talking about? Have either of these runners gotten hit once, Regal? Didn't think so. So, unless you live in Brazil, this boss is a non-boss. You're gonna see they die in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. But wait, there's a twist. You're not going to see this coming. Hold up. Wait for it. There's another one. And now she's dead too. If you stand on the barrels there and quit out just after the boss dies, because you're standing on an object and you're not actually on you're not on stable ground, it will spawn you outside of the boss fight, even though the boss is dead. And it saves in-game time, but it's mostly useful for resetting the positions of the enemies. If you just run back out after killing witches without doing the quit out, then the enemies are like, they can be crowded around the door, and it's just a lot harder to get through. It's much more consistent if you do that quit out. Alright, so this is what we grabbed the Cainhurst summons for earlier. We need to beckon the funny horse. Blink and you'll miss it. Yep, funny horse is gone. And he's going to take you to Vampire Castle. This is actually the Resident Evil 8 Alpha. In case you didn't know. Yep, so again, there's not much to say about this. They're just running through. This door opens by itself. There's a spooky ghost. There's a skip coming up, I guess. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that can happen sometimes, I guess. This game is full of surprises. No matter how much you think you know, you don't know anything. This game is great at building up your confidence and then crushing it. Yeah, that guy in particular is not very nice, so we just give him a little bullet to the head. You know, it'd be cool if I had stuff to say right now, but I just don't. Bloodborne, you know, it's give and take. Sometimes they give you entertaining stuff to say, and sometimes they don't. And then you just have to sit here and try to fill the silence, the gaping void in your heart. There's a skip. All you have to do is run up this this little staircase here and jump. Normally you're supposed to you go out a window and then you walk around on some rooftops and come through here from the other side, but it's very easy to skip with just a jump. I'm convinced that's in the game on purpose. It's just way too convenient and easy to execute for it to be like a proper exploit. Yep, coming up here is Logarius. He's another boss that looks easy, but he can mess you up. Now, it's a good thing Whitney isn't in this tournament, otherwise we would have some accidents on this rooftop here. Whitney really likes giving hugs to the gargoyles, he just can't help it. Another ladder. And here's Logarius. So, basic strategy is you run up to him, don't get one shot by a projectile. Because he has an attack that's really scary and like it does a lot of damage and it comes out pretty fast. But generally, if you just do one R1 then an L1, that's pretty safe. Then once you get him to about 60% health, he'll start to transition. Can do a few more R1s and then the double backstab. And you kill him before he even enters phase 2. So the boss dies fast, and it's not that difficult, but it if you mess up once, it's likely to kill you. Either it'll one-shot you outright, or it's likely to just snowball. But CB is on to the final duo now. And we kind of treat these as Gehrman and Moon Presence. We kind of treat them as one boss, because your Moon Presence fights, how good your Moon Presence fight is largely predicted by how good your Gehrman fight is. The basic strategy for Gehrman is to parry him and then get a counter hit L1 followed by a couple more attacks. If he does the jump attack, you can backstab him, which is pretty spicy. That's his 50% health transition. Well, it's actually not 50% with Gehrman. Phase transition percentages for his health are just a suggestion. He will sometimes just not transition at 50% health. He'll just he'll do his own thing. He does what he wants. But that was pretty textbook Gehrman. Could have been better. Could have been a lot worse. And this is Moon Presence. Moon Presence has a number of different attacks that he can open with, and depending on the attack you get, the strategy will be different, but the basics are the same no matter what opener you get. You want to break both the arms, then go for the face. That's essentially what you want to do. I don't know that much about this boss. I think the opener he got is neither particularly good nor is the one where the Moon Presence gets down and just boogies. He just sits there and waves his tentacles around, and you can just shatter the arm no problem. So congratulations to CB here. He pulled through. Let's see. 115. Is that right? I need the full screen. Yes, 115.18. That's pretty good. Especially considering all the setbacks he faced, then a 115 is quite impressive. Now, it might seem like Indu is going to be like 5 minutes behind or something, but he has slower loading times because he's not on a PS5, so it's going to be a lot closer than you might think, probably within a few minutes. Alright, let's see how Indu handles Logarius. Hopefully we won't see like an Orphan style or a One Reborn style one-shot. You know, now that I think about it, maybe Orphan was just doing Indu a solid by killing CB a few times. Alright, now Indu's on to these final two bosses. And, well, there's not much to say about it. If it goes well, it goes well. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Maybe we'll see a bit of a better showcase with the Gehrman fight. CB's was pretty fast, but it was also a little bit weird. But see, that's the idea. You bait out an attack, you parry, run in for the counter L1, hit him like 2 more times, parry again. That'll just rinse and repeat until he's at like maybe 50% health. Then he should transition. If you time a backstab just right, you can nearly kill him. When he switches to the one-handed moveset, it gets a little trickier. You can avoid his attacks by strafing right, so I guess it's easier to avoid damage, but he's harder to punish. Let's see how well the Moon Presence fight goes. Alright, not the best opener. I was really hoping we would see the Boogie opener at least once. That's a good attack for him to do, because he just stands still and lets you hit him for, you know, about 5 years. Uh-oh. Did he miss that second arm break? That must be what happened. That's unfortunate. So, you're about to see why I said how good your Moon Presence fight is largely relies on how good your Gehrman fight is, because if you had a good Gehrman fight, or even just, you know, a decent one, you will have a decently full beast meter, and going into Moon Presence right away, and it will last the entire fight. But now Indu has to go from a fresh beast fresh Beast Blood pellet. So we'll see how it goes. Indus run BL4 quite a lot, and that can be very helpful for learning how to fight bosses when things go wrong. Since, you know, when you're BL4, your damage is just a lot lower. You have to learn to improvise. But looks like this time he has it in the bag. Went for the visceral. Should be an easy finish. Alright. Now you just have to not quit out early, because the boss isn't dead until you get the blood echoes. That's GG. Let's see the time. Again, it's going to be quite a bit closer than it looks. Oh no.
He accidentally pressed continue. Imagine if he loses by like 1 second now. Oh no.
Oh well, Indu can just demand a rematch.
Yeah.
It's okay. This is just so we have more time for suspense to
Oh,
be built.
that's not as close as I thought it would be, but still a really good race.
Oh,
I thought it was
yeah.
gonna be super, super close.
That's just how much of a difference an SSD can make.
Yeah. We can get these guys in here if they want to talk for a little bit, and think we should be able to hear CB.
Hello?
Hello.
What
Hello,
up?
everybody.
What a meeb of a run, dude.
Yeah. It was an interesting race. It was really entertaining,
gotta say,
for
though,
sure.
Induratize's failures was probably the best.
Skip. All right, when you do the skip, I have my T-shirt off, so like I had to like go into the room, and I was like, "Shit, I don't have my armor on," and then I was just like, "Oh my god, what's happening?" I just kept on running around. That skip really fucks up how you start that fight.
Yeah, the whole AI gets kind of like weird.
Yeah, if you don't get that fight started on the right foot, it can just snowball. But Indu's a god gamer, so he recovered.
Oh man, I choked hard at Orphan. I was like, oh boy.
I baited everyone to thinking I was closer by missing the skull.
Yeah.
I just went straight to Orphan. Everyone was like, "Oh my god,
freaking skull, dude."
Did you think you already grabbed it?
Yeah, I don't ever do the early skull unless I'm playing like BL4.
No. But yeah, after Orphan, like after I saw where I was after Orphan, and I saw where you were like right behind me, and I was like, dude, what the fuck? How did he like catch up so quick? I was like super monka shaking the whole time, because like, and then all of a sudden you turn around and go back to the dreams. Like, wait, what? That was weird.
I wrong warped about 6 times because
Yeah.
I'm apparently a DS1 runner.
It was
Yeah,
a great
GG.
race.
It was a good race.
It was
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah,
really
GG.
enjoyable to watch.
Wish I didn't die 3 times
So-
to One Reborn or 2 times.
Oh yeah, true. So Addy, you're gonna lose your first round match, please?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Exactly.
Just for you.
Yep.
All right, so I'm not sure who we're gonna kick it over to, who's streaming right now, but I think we're gonna raid somebody, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys enjoyed the run. Hope you guys enjoyed the rest of your Tuesday, and